let me tell you something. I was watching some news, and Trump is in a tizzy. Kamala Harris stole his idea. That's what he says. You remember he went out and he said, hey, tip workers. Notice how he said it. It's important. We are going to give tip workers. We're not going to tax tip workers tips. And, Kamala then came out and said, hotel and service workers tips will not be taxed. And we are going to work for an increase in the minimum wage, make it a living wage. And to that answer, Trump said, you stole my idea. You stole my idea. And I need to really show you all what often isn't covered. Notice what Trump said. Tip workers will not get their tips taxed. In other words, anyone receiving tips, your tips are untaxable right now. Kamala said distinctly that those hotel and restaurant workers, certain level, they will have their tips not taxed. Does it sound like the same? It may sound like the same, but it isn't the same. The reality is when Trump said tips workers wouldn't have to pay taxes on tips, he left the door open for, stockbrokers. He left the door open for people who run hedge funds to convert some of their earnings into tips. And they are the ones who would profit. Because guess what, my dear brothers and sisters? If you're a tip worker, most tip workers already don't pay taxes because they don't reach the income threshold to pay taxes. So when a politician tells a tip worker, I am not going to charge you taxes on tips. For most workers, they'll say, I wasn't paying taxes on it anyway. Because I make so little, I don't pay income taxes on that tip. I don't pay income taxes on that tip. But you know who will? The stockbroker and the hedge fund manager. When he goes ahead and says, well, this type of income is a tip, classified as a tip, it could mean billions of dollars, and he pays no tips. Robert Reich pointed that out when he came and he said, nope, Kamala Harris didn't steal his idea at all. Again, it takes a little bit more than just listen to the voices of politicians to make up your mind about issues. You have to see how those issues that they talk about is actually transferred into policy and how those policies are then used as loopholes to get things done. So again, folks, when you're out there promoting the progressive message and somebody says, look at how they are going to follow the tip model, the progressives are following the tip model, remind them that no, progressives protected the working class. Progressives said, no, we are not going to just go ahead and say, tip workers, you get off scan free, while that they normally don't pay any taxes. Again, the important way to help tip workers is to make sure they get a living wage. Do you know some people that work at restaurants make $2 an hour purportedly because they get tips? Do you know also that one of the biggest anti-work policies passed by Trump actually said the following: employer who picks up those tips, they can use those tips as they see fit. They don't have to give, most of the tips these days are not collected in cash by the tip worker. They're collected by the person who, you fill out the credit card, you have a tip line, you put a tip on it. That doesn't automatically go to the worker. And Trump made it legal that tip doesn't belong to the worker. It belongs to the company, and they can choose to do what they wish with those tips. Did he say that when he passed the bill, when he talked about tip workers? He never said it. So let's not be fooled by the wordiology.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.